Oh, I must have. How did I do that? Okay. Uh,
It's working because it says live. The
it is
content
working.
is good.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, I've never done live streams. So, okay. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations on the Conscious Awakening Network. So I'm your host and co-host for the night. I'm Lori Wheeler. As Sheila cannot be with us tonight, she came in on her flight and some difficulties. She's all okay, but she's late in getting in. So I'm just taking over tonight. I want to welcome you to tonight's episode and invite you to visit your Android phone and your App Store to download our phone app so you never have to miss an episode or event on CAN. So I'm going to just begin by telling you just a bit about myself first so that you don't wonder who I am. I'm a transformational holistic practitioner with over 30 years of experience helping others awaken to self mastery. That's where it's at. And my multidimensional healing work sparks deep shifts in consciousness, expanded awareness, and its alignment with one's true nature, what I call the juice for purposeful living. So I'm a star seed and an energetic conduit, and I draw from my work with homeopathy, chemotherapy, soul regression, medical intuition. I work in the Akashics. I speak light language from the light beings and DNA recalibration from the galactic star code activations. So I'm an author of Oh No, Not Another Learning Experience, which is a metamorphosis. And I currently work with a quantum biologist in electrical conductivity and the effects it has on DNA and water through activation. I channel guidance from many multidimensional sources, including Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, the Arcturian commander Ashtar, Egyptian deities, and the Sphinx, and the power of 12 angelics, and many more. And I weave ancient wisdom into every session. So we've got an announcement here. By popular demand, the LLC is now going to be live and online on CAN. So visit the site, go to the events, and Sheila will be speaking, or she's just finished speaking at the Light Language Conference, or she is speaking in Colorado, in Arvada. Sorry, she will be speaking Light Language Conference in Colorado, in Arvada, May 30th through June 1st. And if you're interested, I would suggest you go to lightlanguageconference.com and you'll find all the details there. Okay, so on with the show. Our guest for tonight is Nikki Hugh, and she's going to speak about multi-dimensional convergence. Ooh, it sounds exciting. And what this is, it's the process of integrating all aspects of the self across the timelines, identities, and dimensions into one unified field of embodied presence. It's not about escaping the human experience, because we can't do that, but it's about allowing higher intelligence, soul fragments, and energetic codes to merge through the body in real time. The convergent upgrades how we perceive, create, and lead because we're no longer sourcing power from effort, but it's coming from the wholeness. So, welcome, Nikki. So happy to have you tonight. I'm so happy to be the co-host and host for this show with you tonight.
Thank you so much, Lori, for having me here with everyone. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, my name is Nikki Wu. I'm an ascension mentor and activator, and I assist in supporting other star seeds, leaders, light workers in expanding their consciousness. And today's topic is very, very in alignment with this because I've noticed through all the work that I've done, as we expand in our consciousness and we align more and more with who we are from this vast perspective, from all these different soul aspects, not only the fragmented aspects of our lives here on earth, but also from our our multidimensionality. We start to remember, and I would say it's even a faster experience in healing because you do remember. You remember what it feels like, and it really is more of an energy that you align with the gifts that you've had in other lifetimes, um, I would even say like the essence, the beingness of these higher dimensional wisdom and higher dimensional living and intelligence that has existed through our lifetimes when we had soul lives. It is being able to bring that down into this present moment and then utilizing that and being in that frequency field. And I would even say that, like, when we connect with those energy fields, it recalibrates everything in our body, our energy body, and it recalibrates our reality. Because once we can connect to certain frequencies, we have reached that state already. And so when we do that, we are bringing these aspects of ourselves, these frequencies in, activating our DNA, our remembrance of the embodiment of this, and then being able to flow. I call it flow. We are just able to flow. The only reason why we experience resistance or forgetfulness is the density and the interference of the separation of self. And when we have that experience of separation, of duality, it's harder. It's like your mind, your body, your spirit, your energy field, it's conflicting with each other. And it's hard to determine, is this me? Is this what I want? Is this how I'm meant to flow? And then that fear, and separation comes in. Like, how will I be perceived if I do X, Y, and Z? Am I allowed to have that? Am I worthy enough to experience that? So, um, it does create resistance. It's like distortions in your energy field that actually creates the resistance and uncertainty. So as we expand in our consciousness, we are actually unifying the field, bringing all these aspects of self together, and then allowing that pure source consciousness, pure energy field to guide us through our day to day. The messages that I've gotten recently, and I was channeling this on Sunday, which was yesterday, they were saying many of us are moving into pure creation mode. And I felt what they were translating through the channel message, but I felt the energy of that. And it was this limitless expansiveness. And it was like in this field of expansiveness, you create anything that you want. And for the longest time, and I'll say it's really significant because for the longest time, I've always thought I'm here for a specific mission. I have to do it a certain way, that there's like that there's only one way or one possibility. And um a lot of beliefs, right? Would people even understand what I was saying? That was one of the things me and Lori were talking about. Would people even understand what I'm saying when we have connected to realms and fields beyond what was imaginable and what has been shared in the collective up until this point? And as my consciousness expanded beyond that point, I started connecting with others who have also achieved that level of consciousness in their experience. And so I'm not alone in this, and you are not alone in this. And we all have the ability to connect with that if we so desire, right? And it really is about, what do you choose? There are infinite timelines, and every choice, everything you make in this present moment, allows you to shift your timeline. I would say that now I'm like speaking on this platform. It wasn't it wasn't even in my awareness 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago. I hosted my summit, and I think, Laura, you were on my summit last year.
Mhm.
And at that time, my awareness was, I understood that I'm a star seed, but I didn't truly understand what that meant. Uh, it was a logical understanding. Okay, I'm the soul from another planet, and I have these beautiful multidimensional gifts. I didn't have words to explain what that experience was. But then this year it was about integrating, and the integration process was the energy coming in, being able to connect with that energy, to know and to feel that energy, and then to embody that through my daily life. And as I do this, everything else dissolves. The resistance, the separation of self, and the identity, the fragmented pieces of identity begin to dissolve. And so nowadays I have tapped into the field of limitless creation and being able to flow through life, to do the things that I once thought was like really difficult to do, um, that I felt like I wasn't worthy of having or accessing. It's like it's completely more more flow. People, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to say this. So I used to make videos on TikTok, right? And on TikTok, I would get zero likes, like zero views, like no one liked my stuff. And I was like, why is this so difficult to grow my presence on social media? And all of a sudden, I start talking about consciousness because this is in alignment with who I am. And when I started to talk about consciousness, I'm getting like 4 or 5 followers a day. And it's like effortless.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, like this is really my path. And for the longest time, I've been searching for my path, right? And for the longest time, I've been sharing my message, but it was like something didn't fully land. I was teaching about relationship coaching, I was teaching about business coaching, and I was like, it's not who I am. It was where I was at in the awareness of my journey, but it wasn't where my soul desired to be, the energy that I've always felt inherently. And we all have that internal guidance. So if your internal guidance is saying, like, you were meant to be an artist, you were meant to be a scientist, you were meant to be a dancer, you were meant to do certain things because that's what your energy is pulling you towards, but you're living out of alignment, you're speaking out of alignment, you're being out of alignment with your truth, everything in your field, it's like a radio signal. It's not being heard, it's not being received. It is hard to create reality when your energy is distorted. So, through the process of integrating, right, the separation and releasing what was not me, and continuously releasing what was not me, moving into that field of coherence. And now it is effortless. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a post on social media and I'm actually getting followers. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I know it's probably not like a big deal, but like it was a big deal for me.
It is a big deal. It's a big deal because, what it does is it fulfills that worth, the environment that you're in, it's generally the environment that you synchronize with. So as you begin to shift your way of thinking, that's your environment is changing as well, right? And that you create this distinct environment that creates a coherent field for all of your energy, your body and everything. And we're moving out of that carbon-based worthiness and security and the all of that. We're moving into more of that crystalline, right? And that's what it sounds like your density of your reality is shifting quite rapidly as you catch on, and that's how we're influencing our energy.
I I would say like it's really interesting the progression of the experience because like
Mm,
I started like I became a healer in 2023. Like I actually got certified as a healer, but not in any of the advanced modalities that we speak of today, which is light language and
mm,
activating. And I would say like I've always had activating abilities, but it probably wasn't online. From 2023, just becoming a healer, just being able to connect to like the energies and the ancestors and the angels to where I am today has
mm,
been a really big jump or shift in reality in my experience. And even last year, when I was speaking with you, I said, Lori, I have resistance against and it was about belief in self. Like I didn't have the belief that there was um, that there were people who were going to show up to hear me speak about this, right? And from that time to now, the biggest I would say the biggest point of transformation wasn't in like the strategies that I've learned. The it was about the energy. Like I did energy work nonstop. It was like my soul just guided me. It was like you're gonna work with this mentor and this mentor and this mentor. And it was like I was pregnant 2 years ago when I did my first healing program. And 8 months in, they were like, you're gonna run a summit. And I was like, wait, wait, wait. I only have 1 month. Like I'm giving birth in 1 month. You want me to run a summit in 1 month? And it was like the energy was, yes, do it. So I finished healing. I gave birth. I took a dream interpretation course. And then after that, it was like straight into channeling. So it was like boom, nonstop. It was like you had kids, go into the next course, go into the next course, go into the and then I just kept working with mentors that really like expanded my energy field. Like we were healing, we were expanding, I was getting my gifts activated. And even I was like, wait, hold on. Because I worked with a mentor and I realized I do this now too. Like everybody in this field are now working with these advanced modalities that we remember from our lifetimes. These are gifts that we remember. It's not taught through a class. You don't
Mm,
have to teach it, but perhaps it has to be activated, right? Because they were dormant. And in the session, she was just like, we're raising your frequency, we're raising your frequency. And then we're activating your gifts and activating your gifts and activating your gifts. And I was like, I've never experienced a session like this before. And I was like, what in the world are you doing? And she was like, you don't need to know. And her angels kept saying, you don't need to know. And I
mm,
was like, I don't need to know what I'm healing because I was taught we needed to know what we are healing. She's
mm,
like, you don't need to know. And this was where we enter into quantum fields, where we start healing things in the energy field and the grids itself without having to pinpoint and do the deep work and like pick at the story and the story and the story. It was really about going into the quantum field, letting it all go, restoring the field, and then waking up, like activating, activating, activating. And um, and of course, my awareness at the time was in the healing that I was taught. Oh, we go into theta and we ask the ancestors and we heal one thing at a time. And so it was very tedious. And so when I experienced this, I was like, what in the world is she doing? But the following year, 2024, because 2023 was like they just wanted me to take all these courses and do all this healing. And then 2024, when I started working with clients, I realized I'm not doing anything I was taught in my healing class. I was utilizing my multidimensional gifts that I had no idea. I was taking people to their planets and I was working with their cells and their grids and all these things. I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, hold on a second, what is happening?
mm,
And so this is where we are. And Bashar has been saying this in 2027, we're going to make like ET contact. And I believe that based on where I am in my experience with contact with new energy, like new multidimensional beings, interdimensional beings. They even took me to an this new civilization. It was like a bunch of new civilizations, and they just said to me, "You are now assisting their ascension." And I just thought that was incredible that I am now assisting the ascension for these intergalactic beings on other planets. Um, but what Bashar was saying was that we are evolving as a planet. Like this has never been done before, where the whole planet ascends in the system, like in I guess the intergalactic system, right? Because he's saying we're moving into the intergalactic alliance.
mhm,
And so that means the beings that we channel, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, the beings that we channel, we are now considered ascended mastery level, higher dimensional masters because we have mastered the earth experience.
mm,
And now we get to facilitate ascension for other interdimensional beings.
mhm.
Um, and that's very exciting. And all of us have the potential to experience that. Uh,
So, Nikki, let me ask you, What key signs or indicators do you think it is or there are that someone begins to experience or integrate this multi-dimensional aspects for themselves? Like, what would you say, if somebody said, well, what is that like? Or how do I know that I'm experiencing this? So you've been sharing your own, but maybe share what your overall idea is about that.
Multi-dimensional, I would say like multi-dimensional convergence in your day-to-day life is just feeling more in coherence with yourself, like more in tune with your own energies. So some people may experience this as like I feel a a sense of alignment with nature. And all of us are part of nature. So if you feel that sense of alignment with nature, you are actually aligning with one of the natural frequencies that we are inherently holding within us. You may also feel this alignment just with connecting with your own inner child. If you connect with multidimensional beings, sometimes like through meditation, you might just feel that like source energy within you, that source energy coming in, that profound sense of peace, that love, that overflowing love. And those are all signs that you're integrating, that you've connected to pure source consciousness, or that pure love consciousness too, that pure heart energy as well. And whenever that happens, um, I would say that is when you know like you're in alignment with true self. And we can experience those profound moments through meditation.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Do you think that you can have that experience of peace even if you don't feel peaceful, so to speak, even if it's not peaceful around you?
Absolutely. Um, One of the biggest things that creates like disturbances is really just the mind. So if we are able to quiet the mind and connect with the heart space, then we are able to access that alignment within self, and true peace is about, I would say, like giving your brain a rest, because it is the brain that
Mm,
has all of the it's the subconscious mind actually that has the memories of our experiences from the past, and then through our nervous system it creates loops. It replays the story, and then it brings our body reacts to the story with hormones and right cortisol, and it triggers our fight or flight, and it creates this feeling of conflict within us, because our heart can be telling us one thing, but our mind can be telling us something else. So if you're experiencing where you don't feel peace throughout the day, having just a couple moments of being with yourself. I have this visualization actually, and I was taught this. If you see a whiteboard in your brain, and that whiteboard has whatever the whiteboard has, it could be scribbles, it could be visions, it could be colors, and you're able to switch your mindset and you say to the whiteboard, okay, I want to see green. And you envision that change. And you say, okay, I want to see red. And you see the vision change. And then you see the eraser and you erase the whiteboard. Then, when the whiteboard is clear, you realize my brain is clear, right? So you can actually shift your thought process. And for those that are not, um, I would say if you're not a meditation type of person, that visualization exercise is really helpful. There's also another way that you can access this through sound as well. So if you're not like a visual person, you can also listen to frequency music and attune your energy to a certain frequency, and it will help realign the energy in your field.
mm. Oh, awesome. I like that visual. We're visual people, so I think visual is really important for most people. Let me ask you, being you've gone through this now, how would you express the stages of how somebody goes through this process of this convergence, of the multidimensional convergence?
Yes. So I would say there's a couple layers, and it does seem pretty consistent. When we go through this process, it starts with feeling that sense of duality. And then there's a desire to connect with unity. So we go through this process of integrating healing and healing ourselves and recognizing we are one, right? We are all source consciousness. We are one. Once you reach this field, it's almost like you reach a state of nothingness. Like I don't exist. Um, Nothing I desire is like real, right? Like everything is just a hologram, it's a projection. And in this state of being, you do experience profound peace because you realize I am this oneness. But then there's a moment where you come back into the body. You come back into this field of, I still have a human body. And because I am whole, I am unified, I don't identify with the titles and my experience anymore, or the stories of my experience anymore. You come back into the body, and from that point, you recognize yourself as creator. So in that space, you begin to create your reality. You begin to decide, well, I'm no longer bound to the old separation because I am source. What am I going to create? Right.
Mm.
Um, and that is, I would say that has been my experience, and that is the experience that I've heard many people share from separation to wholeness, and then from wholeness becoming embodied again. And we are just expressions of this unified source of consciousness. And how do we desire to create reality from that stance?
Yeah, wow. That's um that's a lot of creation going on there, right?
I mean, we don't have to create either. Like today, I just said, like, I just want to play. And creation is, I would say, creation sounds different than doing. Like, words have energy, as one of my beautiful
Yes.
friends have
I
said.
think we're always creating though, wouldn't you say? I mean, because we're always putting information out and receiving information. And then you think a thought, you feel a feeling, you are creating in a very consistent way. Um, do, so do you have, so you've been working with clients. What would you say, what could you use as an example of somebody's experience with this? Maybe how they experienced it.
Yes. So I have a client, and for her, it wasn't a like it wasn't really an out of body experience where we are connecting to multidimensionals, but it was about coming back within and to and feeling like it was about the energy, it was about the feeling of embodiment, feeling of love and Christ coming into the body. And from that space, it was this divine trust that everything was in her favor. So she's starting her own business, and um, as somebody who's been an entrepreneur, it's not always easy, like starting a business, to trust that your vision that you had in your heart is actually materializing in form. So it was a lot about, okay, like this is me, like I trust myself and I know that I am source consciousness. Therefore, like having this vision, this is what my soul came here to do. And then being able to move and live from that space. And so for her, she started getting invitations to, like, oh my goodness, it was so beautiful to see. She got her first client and she actually traveled somewhere to have that experience. And she was like, Nikki, it felt like home. She said it felt like home. It felt like I've been doing this my whole life and it just felt right. And she said, you should have seen me in the kitchen, like, because she's a private chef. So she's like, you should have seen me in the kitchen. It was just like I just put out the fire, like whatever it was. She's like, it was second nature to me. She's like, this is it. And she would tell me about the experiences of other people saying to her, wow, you're so brave, like you're so courageous. But also, like, what if you fail? Like, do you have a backup plan? Right? Like, people would say that to her. What if you fail? Do you have a backup plan? You should think about getting a full-time job. And she just felt it in her soul. And she said, no, Like, this is where I'm meant to be. And so I think when we move into that space of divine trust and that inherent knowing that it's just, we are source, we are creating our reality, but also this is our truth. This is your truth. When you stand so firmly in your truth, reality will reflect back to you, your creation. Um, and so that was just, it was such a beautiful moment to see. So that one really stood out for me.
That is beautiful. I mean, and it's easy. It's so easy and it flows so beautifully when you are in alignment, and there's such a cohesive experience for us. But how do you handle the fears or the discomfort when, like that fear comes up and you say to yourself, I don't know, should I really be doing this? What would you say to people?
I would say stand firm in your energy, but also if you dip below like the frequency that you're at, because it's always oscillating, like we raise in frequency and we reach this elevated state of consciousness and we feel limitless. And then when we come back into our body, the density, like we feel the density, the fears, the doubts, and all of that. And it is sometimes it has to go up to go down and then to stabilize. So when we reach the low points are just showing us like this is our current threshold. And to allow you an opportunity to be like, this is not my truth anymore. And I would say in the beginning, more, it is more challenging because um, we become more attuned to our own truth over time. So I feel that immensely when it goes up and then it goes down. When it goes down, it's not to deny that it exists. When we deny that it exists, we're actually resisting the we're resisting that shadow aspect, or we're resisting that part of us. And that part of us really is our only I call it our inner child wants to be seen, right? Our inner child wants to have a moment of compassion and love and be like, it's okay, like I got you. And then we equalize our energy and we stabilize at a new frequency. Um, so that's what I would say. Like if you're having a moment, just allow yourself to feel it. You don't have to stay there. You can actually change your state of being. But sometimes acknowledging it is actually faster than pretending it doesn't exist or shaming the feeling that, oh, it's bad to go back to that state. It's bad that I'm repeating these patterns over and over. The awareness itself will help you break the pattern.
Mhm. So how do you change your state of being when you get there?
It
What
has
do you
changed
have
a
a
lot.
go-to or something that you do or a mantra or whatever? Yeah.
I would say it has changed a lot over the years. I normally sit with my inner child. That's like my first go-to, actually. Because home and family and emotional safety is like a big thing in my personal experience. And it was a huge part of my conditioning as well. So I know like if I'm having a moment, I go and comfort my inner child. Another thing that has been helping me, and this is new, I wouldn't say like new. I used to do this often when I was younger. I would make art.
Mm,
Like I would actually channel my energy into something that's neutral or joyful, and it would shift my attention and the energy itself to more fun, or to more peace. If you're feeling sad or low, then peace is where you want to aim for, and then you can aim for joy. Um, but those are two things. And then sometimes it's just hard. Like you can't do it on your own, so I'll call up my friends.
mm. Yeah, sometimes we need that outside influence, help, and I love that idea of going to the inner child because that's where the wound is, right? Um, I think that's a beautiful experience and to have a conversation. I know years ago, I remember somebody talking to me like as if there was another chair sitting right next to you and you put that inner child on that chair. if it were a child you were speaking to, say the child was crying and they were upset, how would you comfort that child? What would you do? And that always has remained in my mind, literally. Having had four children and then grandchildren and all, you kind of just know, right? And you're a mother too. So you know how to comfort a child. But, maybe there are some women that are not experienced with that, or maybe men as well, right? They've never experienced really how to comfort a child. So, I mean, how would you do that if you were that kind of a person, coming from that aspect?
Yeah. Well, I would say like the inner child always has a fear or like a doubt. And every time I do visualization with my inner child, I always ask, like, you can ask your inner child what they want or what they need. And that's actually the fastest way to receive what it is that you need. Because I just ask, I'm like, why are you afraid or why are you scared? And intuitively, like I'll be guided to either give her a hug or um, through visualization, you can shift the energy as well. Sometimes she just wants to play. So we'll go and play. And that itself actually makes the experience, like it changes the experience, it shifts the energy. And that in itself is enough, right? Sometimes when we have a fear, it's like, I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of the unknown. And then when you play, I always visualize like, well, let's go play with the unknown. Let's go actually play and create and see what comes up. And through the visualization, the inner child realizes the creation in itself is fun. And
Mhm.
so it shifts the fear of the unknown to like, let's go have fun. Let's go make things, right? Let's go create things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think automatic writing is a way. So if you can't get in touch with that inner child, if you don't hear, some automatic writing can be very helpful as well. And if you can't, if it's too uncomfortable to do the automatic writing, you can draw a picture, right? You can take the other hand and you can draw a picture. Let the child draw a picture. Because it's an expression. You just really want to pull out that expression and have conversation or something around that, right? Because that's what is fear. And I think too is that when we suppress it, it's worse. It becomes more powerful and more painful. But if you can get this inner child to come out and work with you, it's not as painful then. It really isn't. And there are different stages to the inner child as well, right? It's not just one child. There's multi stages, of course, as well. So it's kind of getting to know the whole pack that exists within, right? Yeah, beautiful. I love that whole idea. I think that really, I think that helps people. If you can't get in, you can't pray, you can't this, you can't that, the idea of getting in touch internally that way, or, like you say, call someone to help you with that. I think that's a beautiful, we're happy to help each other. So beautiful. I love that idea. Um, so what practices or techniques do you think facilitate the merging of the multidimensional aspects into embodied presence? Like how do you bring that?
This is multifaceted, I guess, in many ways, because we have many different aspects of us, the mind, heart, soul, and then all of our multidimensionality. And it's really through awareness, through working with it, that you can bring it in. So I'm always aware of the experiences that I'm going through my day to day. And I'll notice, okay, this aspect of me is like an inner child thing. And I'll bring that forward. There's some other times where it's like this is not an inner child thing, it's actually like something else, and it's more of the energy field that we work with. And for many of us on this journey, I would say like when you reach elevated states of consciousness, like being able to meditate and bring those aspects through, like I personally get them through meditation, downloads, or not even meditation. Sometimes I went to the beach one time and I just got downloads. And it was like I closed my eyes and I felt the presence of them coming through to me. And that's how I started integrating the more higher aspects, like the multidimensionals. But the day-to-day things, the heart integration, the mind integration, the inner child integration, that happens throughout day to day. And the biggest thing now is about listening to the heart. So we've been working on the heart and the feminine masculine balance for a long time as a collective. And being able to connect to your heart, open up the heart, and live true to yourself from the heart space is mastery at the moment. Gratitude, if you want to do like three gratitudes in the morning, three gratitudes at night to help you open up your heart and integrate more of that heart energy, that is really supportive.
That's beautiful. I love that. So when you talk about living true to your heart, can you give an example of how you figured out living true to your heart and maybe like an idea of how other people, because this is something that we hear a lot about, dropping into the heart, everything coming from the heart. But what if you have, you know, the wall up around the heart? It's not so easy then to live true to your heart because you may not even know what that is. Do you have a suggestion about that?
Yes. Um, One of the biggest thing, and I can definitely relate because I came from a um I guess a really challenging childhood experience. So I closed off my heart uh, to a lot of things, and being able to receive was a big one. But I also noticed like when you can tap into little moments of joy, it actually helps open up the heart space. That's why the gratitude works. So if you are unable to connect with your heart, finding things that you're grateful for every day actually helps expand the heart center and open you up. And from that space, you will begin to notice like all the little things that your abundance, like I'm grateful for the X, Y, and Z, and then feeling a sense of abundance with that experience can also support you in opening of the heart. Um, in the beginning of my journey, I started doing this. I started um, saying, well, I have this experience where I'm afraid of people or that people are like going to reject me. So instead, what I started to do was like, I had affirmations for myself. Like I am kind. People are kind to me. Like people love me. People value me. And when I went out, I would actually have that experience. Like my awareness was attuned to having that experience. So when I went out, people were kind to me. People would open doors for me. People would call me or text me and tell me nice things. Like that was the level of block. I was so blocked. And I was in such a scarcity place. But just those little things started to open me up and shift my reality. And I was like, wow, like I am actually having the experience of the affirmations that I tell myself. And by acknowledging and noticing that, brought more of that energy in. And then it was about expanding my capacity to hold more love, right? To experience more love, to receive more love.
Mm. Oh, that's beautiful. I really enjoy that thinking about how you're saying that, how you're expressing that. Um, I think there are times when I know myself, if I'm in a place and whatever, life is very challenging. And I know others as well that if you can't, or you're having difficulty getting into the gratitude place, right? Feeling gratitude for something, because when it feels very heavy or there's a big challenge in your life, you may not be able to find gratitude, right? But you can definitely find something that you love, something throughout your life. And as soon as you just even think it, something will pop into your mind, something you love. could be your dog, it could be a tree, it could be a trip. It could be the way somebody looked at you. It could be anything, right? If you go back to that, it shifts you from this to this right away, instantaneously, and just allow that, if you can imagine your heart to fill, to fill more with that, it will do this expansion thing then. I think I think it's helpful to try to do that because I can't say I 100% find gratitude every single day. You have to work at it, right? So if I can't and I get stuck, I really think of something I love. I love lots of things, so that's not a difficulty. And I think everybody can find something that they love. Um, how can people use these concepts of this convergent of the multidimensional convergence to like create or enhance their creative capabilities? Like what can they do to enhance that and actually even to become a leader or to show others how to do it as well?
The biggest thing for me, I feel, is presence. So consistency over time actually builds momentum in what you're creating. So the most important thing is being present in your experience and in your day. Um, the multidimensional aspect is something I love because I love working with the multidimensional beings. And that is really like the next level for us moving into higher levels of consciousness to be connecting to our multidimensional selves. Now, I personally experienced a quantum leap in this, so I'm not sure how other people experience this, but I know like with one of my clients, for her, it's just being able to connect with the angels, and that itself is being able to connect with her like a higher source of consciousness. So wherever you are in your journey, being able to connect to the higher state of consciousness and just bringing that energy through, like helping you raise your vibration in the present moment, doing things that make you happy or doing things that bring you peace will actually raise your vibrational state. And the more consistently you can attune to that frequency, the frequency of peace and joy, the more that you will bring that energy through and it will continue to elevate your experience. That will also guide you to more of what you prefer or more of what you desire to create in your reality. So it will naturally lead to like um, realizing these aspects of self. So for me, for example, today, um, I I was just being with my kids. I was like, a lot of my energy has shifted recently to being more present with my kids. And I just notice how excited they are. I took my sister to college to view the campus because she's starting college, but there was like an airport. I mean, not an airport. It was a pilot facility that they were teaching people how to fly planes and certify them and to become pilots. And my son was like, I want to go see the planes. I want to go see. And I was like, you know what? My inner child says, yes, I want to go see the planes too. And all of a sudden I had this thought of like, wow, like the science behind flight, right? And then like with levitation and flight and all those things. So then it led us to go to a museum. And at the museum, they also had planes. But it was about following the joy and where the energy led versus where I was before when we get stuck in the doubt or the fear, the energy doesn't move.
Mm,
And so being able to be like, this aspect of me wants to have this experience, let's follow that. Let's listen to that.
mm,
And um, combining all of that together, I would say is how you have this more full experience of who you are.
mm. Yeah, it definitely does. And that energy can be so subtle sometimes, right? The energy of where you're to go and where you're not to go. And in a moment, just at a moment, sometimes do we really know at that very second? It's an interesting thing following it, it really is. And I think it takes some integration of feeling into your being and being really receptive, very quietly receptive to what that experience feels like in you, you know? That's how I view it anyway. And I've been doing this a long time. And yet there are times that I can't always tell 100% because it's so subtle, So sometimes it's very obvious, right? Like you were just following it and you had signs and it was so perfectly, mapped out in your way, I love that. But I don't think it's always like that, So I think sometimes I think it's very subtle. The movement is very subtle. Um, it's interesting. I mean, I could talk about that all night. But so I just want to ask you, what role do you think embodiment plays in making sure that you're grounded and you're sustainably integrated through the multidimensional energies?
Embodiment plays a huge role, actually. I feel like embodiment is everything because embodiment is our presence,
Mm,
is our beingness. So that really is what embodiment is that um, we are here present with ourselves in our bodies and having this experience. Um, oh my goodness, I would say when I had this moment where I reached that unity state of consciousness and I felt that ego death because I was like,
mm,
I've reached this state of bliss, but I don't feel happy. It was really weird. It was like I've reached the state of bliss, and it was like this feeling of like I've been chasing the sensation for so long, but
mm,
now coming back down, I was like, but what about my reality? I've
mm,
I like, and that was the moment where I had this ego death, and it made me actually think about what do I love doing as a human being? So
mm,
instead of this higher dimensional state of awareness, then I came down to integrate what it would be like to live as a human. And
mm,
through the living of the human is when I realized the whole purpose of this experience is to be human. So, like, what do you want to do as a human? Part of what I forgot was art. Like, I was chasing this feeling for so long, and trying to discover my purpose that I forgot all the things that I used to love before I even had this awareness of myself being this higher dimensional being. It was like
mm,
art. I went out dancing. I went out, like I had friends. And so it was coming back into that and integrating the two, the higher dimensional and then your humanity, and saying I like how am I creating my life today with more joy, with more peace, and also like knowing that I am this infinite being. What else do I want to explore? Because the world is now limitless to me. So what else do I want to create from that? And it's
mm,
through that awareness that I am embodied in my being, and that fuels what I do, or like that guides my essence every day. Some days I'm like, I would say like I used to be in that hustle masculine energy. So everything was like work and work and work and work. And
mm,
now it's more about like how can I play more?
mm,
Um what fuels my purpose? Like what messages want to come through me? And so I create. So I think for all of us, we have an aspect of that. Like what do I want to embody and experience today? Right?
mhm,
And creating through that.
mm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I get that 100%, that work, work, work. We're changing that now. We're coming into a reset, and shifting that about ourselves. It's not the work thing any longer, but the play, the integration of play is super important because that's where, like, if you think of a child playing, right? They're imagining, they're creating, right? And that's the very feminine aspect as well. So it is a nice integration, like as you talk about. So what would you what advice would you give to somebody who might begin, just beginning this journey into their multidimensional awareness and integration? What kind of advice would you give?
The message that comes through that is like so apparent is have like be joy, be joy, like have fun with it. Um, we are always expanding, so there is no like end of the journey. The more that I tap into this field, I think that's why I got so excited at the beginning of like, oh my God, I'm connecting to new beings. Um, is that like it is so much cooler to recognize this other aspect of you, this unseen aspect of you, that there's a
Mm.
world beyond this. And what we are bringing through now is the remembrance of imagination that we've always had as children. So if you can remember what it's like to just create and imagine, and then actually as an adult live it, like, oh my God, I'm connecting to dragons and unicorns and fairies. Like, if that lights you up, like, do it. Because that was the validation I gave to myself. I was like, I don't want to censor myself and be like, I want to be more human. Actually, I want to be more multidimensional. Like, I want to talk more about the aliens and the dragons and the fairies. They are all here to help us and they bring through such different fun energies. So being able to connect with that is actually remembering more of who you are.
I love that. Well, Nikki, I'm just going to say you have this beautiful, sweet quality to you, this essence of this youth that comes out in you and the way you express in that. And so I love that. And you've done a beautiful job of explaining and helping others to really understand and kind of really get into this multidimensional convergence. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that tonight. I'm just going to ask you if you'd like to just, close with some kind of a thought or something important that you want to leave people with. What kind of a final thought would you say?
Is it okay if I channel it?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yes.
Love
Okay.
that.
So I feel the seraphim angels being present with us.
Beautiful.
Dear ones, we are so delighted that you are here with us today. And we honor you all for being present, for being in the space. We understand that all of you are going through your own personal experience, whether it may be a bit challenging or you're navigating something more expansive, more fun, more you. We want to remind you that there is only source, that you are source, that you are part of the one, that anything you desire or choose to experience is your right to. As you move through this journey, the road that opens will continue to lead you to more of who you are. And this in itself is the most rewarding experience. With that, we would love to anchor in this memory. So as you are tuning in to this message, an image from your guides, an image from us is being presented to you to help you remember who you are and the pure essence and joy that you hold within. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that message. That was so beautiful. Nikki, we have a question. Um, Someone has a traumatic incident in their past and the memories are blocked from her. How do they bring those memories back?
Um, Yes, well, thank you so much for your question. One of the things is we don't necessarily have to bring those memories back if they are not supportive of your transformational journey. So if you are working with a practitioner, um, the guides and the angels usually guide the healing. And if you set that as an intention to heal, you will be guided on how to heal it. So, really, it's not about bringing those memories back, but setting the intention that you would like to heal this experience from your past, and then being open to receiving the healing. And there are many ways that we access this healing, and we are all self-healers. So just having that intention in itself might set the energy into healing it.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you for the information and thank you for the question as well. Nikki, how can people find you if they want to work with you?
Yes, well, you may connect with me on my website. It's www.nickyhu, Nickihu.com. I have a free gift on that page, which is it's called the Seven Golden Keys Chakra Activation. So if you would like to start there, it supports you in activating and realigning all of your chakras. And then you can also find me on Instagram as well. And my username is nikki.who. So very simple, very easy.
Wonderful. And that is easy. Well, thank you, Nikki. It has been a super pleasure being with you tonight and all the information that you've shared. It's been a wealth of information for everyone. So thank you again, and thank you to all that have spent the time and who are intrigued to hear more to grow and evolve. So thank you and good night. And I just want to send well wishes from Sheila as well. And she'll be back next week, and I'll be back next week too. So look forward to it then. Thank you all and have a blessed night.
Thank you all for tuning in.